Hey everybody, Scott here from Ellumacent Art. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So this video is to kind of help you guys with any confusion that you might have when it comes to actually making your cards, the foundation for your TCG cards, when you want to put your artwork, your writing and everything on for your trading cards. There's a lot of confusion and I'm going to be going through the comments that have actually helped me with this video and the experiences I've had with these comments with the sizes against the sizes that I do. Now that you know, if you've been watching my channel, the TCG cards that I make that are homemade are the exact same size as a Game Crafter card or a normal TCG card. Now I'm going to be showing you why these comments are they are helpful but they're not accurate, especially if you're going to be using Photoshop. So if you look down here, you've got from Danny, you got Yu-Gi-Oh size is 8.6 by 5.9 and 8.8 by 6.3 for the Game Crafter, and I'll be showing you why that is not accurate. But again, they are trying to be helpful, but when you're using Photoshop for actually creating that template size, it is not the actual size that you want. It's a lot smaller, and I'll show you in a minute. So if we actually jump into Photoshop now, so you guys know, if you've been following my videos, following my tutorials, that my cards, I've been measuring them. I've been very strict on how I actually measure my cards, especially using Photoshop to make sure that I get the size that I want. But for this video, it's to kind of use the measurements that people have been leaving comments for me to actually show you they're not actually accurate when you're using Photoshop. So a lot of people are saying, and I know this, you know, you create a canvas size, so we go to File, New, and we're going to make the canvas size the actual template size for the card that we want to use. So we've got a width of 6.3 and we've got a height of 8.8. And the comments said that the Game Crafter card was 8.8 by 6.3 centimeters. So that is what I'm going to go with. So I've got my resolutions 300, I've got my RGB color set, and everything else is all good. So click OK. So you'd think, right, great, we've got the actual template we need to actually put our artwork, our text, everything in for our homemade TCG cards. And then once we actually put these onto a card sheet, these are going to print off the exact same size as a Game Crafter card. That's not the case, as I'll show you. So if I just do a random layer, and I'll just color this in black, and then if I now take one of my cards that we all know is the size of a Game Crafter card, do a new file, let's go to A4 for this to do the comparison. So if I just drag off any of my cards, I'm going to go for my Serpent, and we'll drag off this, which is supposed to be the size of a Game Crafter card once printed. And close all that. As you can see, that is not the case. That is a lot smaller than what the measurements should be when you want to actually make your cards the exact same size as a Game Crafter card. But as you can see, that is not the exact same size as a Game Crafter card on my screen. That is not the size that we want, because if you've been following my videos, as I say, I have been very strict when it comes to measuring my cards and how I've done them to make sure when I print a 9 card sheet of my cards, they come out the exact same size as a Game Crafter card. And the one that people have been advising to use the size for when doing your own template, once you drag it off and put it onto a 9 card sheet, it's going to print off too small, as you can see. So the measurements that I use, so if we drag my card up to the rulers, so we want the corner into the 0. So the actual measurements I use is width is 6.5, just before 6.6, and the actual height is 9.2. So if you use a 9.2 all the way up to 6.5, you'll be great. Your cards will be the exact same size or a little bit bigger than a Game Crafter card. And as I say, when I print these off on 9 card sheets, they actually come out the size that I want, because I've been so strict, as I mentioned, with the trial and error from my other tutorial, which I will leave in the top corner right there. That is why I do my trial and error, to make sure I get the size that I want. And that's why I always say, always do a test print. Don't always go off what people say as measurements, because they might not always be true. And in this case, it's not true, because again, the actual one which we've measured that people say is the same size as the Game Crafter card, it's pretty much isn't. As you can see, there is a huge difference there right at the top, and that is why I say please do trial and error. Please I know it is painstaking, I know it can be annoying, but if you want to make sure that your cards, if you are using this software like Photoshop, if you want to make sure your cards are coming out the size that you want, you're going to have to do trial and error. But once you've got the measurement that you know is correct, you won't have to ever do it again. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to print these two off to show you that mine's basically the accurate size that you're after, and the one that people are saying is what you should be entering into Photoshop isn't exactly true. So when it comes to printing these, guys, I'm going to basically be doing the exact same print settings that I do for my 9 card sheets. And if you're wondering how I plan them, do not worry, I've done a tutorial on that, and I will leave that in the top corner right there. Click on it and it will take you to my tutorial. But for this, I'm going to be printing A4 quality high and paper type matte photo paper, and that is the print setting that I learned last week. If you missed that tutorial, don't worry, I will put a card right in that corner up there. But that is when I did a test print on a new kind of card stock that I've been using, and that test print and that print setting there, which is the matte photo paper, works best with the card stock that I've got. So with that all said, I'm now just going to hit fit picture to frame off, and then I'm just going to hit print. So I've got them printed off now, I'm just going to cut them out. So I've got my guillotine, and the next thing I'm going to use is my 4mm corner hardener for the corners. So as you can see already, the difference between the size that I measured, which is apparently the same size as a Game Crafter card, to one that I've measured, there's a big difference in size. But the question is, are they the exact same size as a Game Crafter card? And I've got a Game Crafter card right here. This is a Game Crafter version of my Eve for my homemade trading card game. So what we're going to do, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. I'm going to get this one first. And you saw me do the measurements, you saw me do exactly what people have been saying. And if we put this on top, that is not the same size as a Game Crafter card, especially when you print it off on a 9 card sheet. And this is the problem you guys are going to have if you're going to be using this measurement and making 9 cards out of this measurement on one sheet. They're not going to print off the size that you want. Now, if you try my one, you can see that is the exact same size height wise as the Game Crafter card. So again, if we bring my card all the way across, you can see that the top corner lines up with the Game Crafter corner and with the other Game Crafter corner, and the bottom corners line up with the bottom corners. So as you can see, my measurements are bang on. This measurement is not bang on, and that's because the method that I use to make my cards is I design my cards, put them onto a 9 card sheet, and I print them off that way. And that is how I get 9 cards that come out the exact same size as a Game Crafter card. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to jump back to Photoshop and I'll be right back. So we know that this square here is not the size that we want. It's not the same size as a Game Crafter card when you print it out, as I've proven. So we're just going to turn this one off. And I'm going to use the measurements now from my card here, which is my Crystal Eater Serpent. And I'm going to be using the measurements with the actual cut line on. So make sure also, very important when it comes to your cards, is to add a cut line so you don't actually cut into your cards when you're using a guillotine or a scissors. And that is usually a 3 pixel stroke when it comes to your cut line. So with the cut line and the card, my total measurement is, so we go across the width, so we've got just before 6.6, and let's go down the height line, which is just over 9.2. So if we go to File, New, and we type in 6.6, which is our width, and then we type in 9.2, which is the height of this card, resolution 300 RGB, and that's all good. Press OK. So now we've got a template document that we can use that is as close as we can get to being the exact same size as a Game Crafter card once printed out on a 9 card sheet. So to test that theory, I'm just going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to use a different colour this time. And then I'm just going to create a new layer and fill this blue. And then I'm just going to minimize back to where my Crystal Eater Serpent is. Going to now drag our new template across and then close. So on my Crystal Eater Serpent, I've turned now the actual stroke cut line off. The only reason I included that in the measurement was because it gives you the accurate size that you want, as you can see from the blue template we've got now to my Crystal Serpent itself. And if you're wondering, oh, will it be the exact same size, Scott, once I actually add the actual cut line on? So I'll show you. So we move this across a little bit. So the blue square, which is our new template, we put a stroke on. going to make it a black, and we're going to make it 3 pixel, which is the exact same size I use on all of my cards. But as you can see, they are both the exact same size. Now both of them have the actual cut line on. So that is basically the measurement. That is exactly the type of size I would recommend you use, especially if you're going to be printing all 9 cards on a single sheet for your homemade TCGs. Don't use the Game Crafter recommendation, because as you saw, it doesn't print out the size it should be. I don't know why. I don't know why that does that on Photoshop. I think it's to do with the actual printer itself. But that is why I always trial and error for you guys, to make sure I get the closest I can measurement wise for you guys, so you get the perfect sizes for your games. So this is a quicker way, this is a quicker method than my actual trial and error method that I did a couple of months ago. So at least now you guys, you have the measurements now where you can just do a template size using the actual canvas or a brand new file when you go into a software like Photoshop. Type in the measurements that I recommend that I've showed you, and your cards should be at the exact same size that you want and the closest size to an actual Game Crafter card. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comment section below. But I still want to say a big thank you to Danny, because either way, in real life, in physical form, they are the measurements that the cards are. I don't know why, when it comes to actual digital templates, when you type in the measurements, they don't print out the same size. I don't understand it. I probably never will. But I thought I'd do this quick little guide for you guys, because this is how I do it, and this is how my cards come out the actual size that I want, which is the closest thing to the size of a Game Crafter card. So again guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Have fun making TCGs, have fun playing TCGs. There are loads more tutorials on the way. If there's anything that you're stuck on or are unsure about, leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll gladly do a video or tutorial to help you guys out. Other than that guys, have a wonderful day as I say, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye guys.